I think it's two things. For me, is that early on, the Celtics felt they got some bad calls, and they did go get some bad calls against them. And Skip, can I propose a rule that if you win a challenge like in the NFL, you get to keep it? Because the coach shouldn't have to bail the official out. You made a bad call. I use my challenge. I lose my challenge because you made a bad call. See, they should have been able to challenge that Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown didn't even touch Gary Payton II. Skip, he just fell out of the air. And they called a foul on him, so it's 2 fouls, and so they have to take him out of the ball game. But the biggest thing, the number one issue, Skip, was the turnovers. If you go back and look at Boston's in the playoffs this year, in Game 1 loss against the Bucks, 18 turnovers. Game 3 loss against the Heat, 24 turnovers. Game 6 loss against the Heat, 18 turnovers. Last night, 18 turnovers. Skip, your two superstars have it going in the first quarter. Jaylen Brown, 13. Jason Tatum shooting the ball extremely well. He has 13. Steph is really the only one, but he's not in fuego like he was the other night. He only has 10. Nobody else has more than 6. And even after all of that, guess what? You find yourself down 1 point going after the first quarter because why? You turned the ball over 7 times, which led to 13 points. So what should have been a 10 or 12-point lead, you find yourself down. Okay, you go into the half, you play a little better in the second quarter, but you go down, you're only 2 points down. You come out in the third quarter, you pick right up where you left off in the first quarter. Turn the ball over 5 times, lead to 11 points, they blow the game wide open. Steph Curry goes crazy because why? If you look at the Warriors when they get their Spurs, what happened? Celtics turn the ball over. Instead of when you turn the ball over, Skip, instead of complaining, I got fouled, how about next dead ball? You go to Tony Brothers. If I'm not mistaken, I think Tony Brothers, Zach Zarber, maybe Josh Gibbons, whatever the guy was, but I know Zach Zarber because I recognize the face and I know Tony Brothers. Hey, Tony, that call you just gave them, bro, you missed that on the other end. Hey, Zach, that wasn't a foul? You didn't think that was a foul? Come on now, bro. Hey.
So you think it was about bad calls?
No, Skip, but I'm just saying, you're complaining about bad calls. They're not going to change it when the other team has the ball going up the court. They're getting transition threes. They're getting easy buckets. They're getting run out. It's the second most points off turnovers in the last 25 finals. You don't think that played a role in it? When you turn the ball over like they do, Skip, nobody shot the ball well for Golden State. Andrew Wiggins 4 of 12. Klay Thompson, who we going to talk about, 4 of 19. Steph Curry 9 of 21. Jordan Poole 6 of 14. You should win that. But when you turn it over, you give a team 33 points. Even when they don't shoot well, you're giving them easy buckets. And one more thing. Al Horford, Robert Williams, Tice. When the Warriors sit that high pick beyond the three-point line, unless it's Giannis or LeBron James that's looking to get ahead of steam, you better show. Because if you don't show, Steph Curry or Jordan Poole are going to drain it. That's why they sit that high pick, because they believe they have guys that can let the ball go from 27 and make it. You cannot think. Draymond can't beat you rolling to the basket. Kevon Looney can't beat you rolling to the basket. Andrew Wiggins can't beat you rolling to the basket. But if you let those guys get those threes off, they can beat you. And that's what happened, Skip. They got flustered because they got some bad calls and didn't feel they got the calls on the other end. And then they turned the ball over at an extremely high rate. Those two things, I believe, directly led to them losing this ball game. They did to them what the Celtics did to them in the fourth quarter in Game 1. Boom, they blew it open. You turn the ball over, you make some threes, and there you go. I mean, when you have the same amount of made threes as made twos, Skip, and you only have 30 made field goals, you're probably going to get blown out. They got blown out.
Okay, it is now my turn after 11 minutes and 44 seconds of NBA analyst talk from Shannon Sharpe. Now it is my turn.
Okay.
Big picture, what we are dealing with here are two very flawed, psychologically vulnerable, wildly inconsistent basketball teams. Both of them have proven to be wildly inconsistent all the way through the playoffs and psychologically vulnerable, because we saw Golden State at Memphis fall behind by 55 points.
Correct.
Is that championship DNA? I think not. We saw Boston lose. Wait a second. We're going back to Boston now. They've already lost 4 home games this playoff run. They lost 2 to Milwaukee, and they lost 2 to Miami in Boston. That's vulnerable. To me, is that championship fodder? I think not. So we're having wild, unpredictable swings here, and we start from the start of the first quarter last night when you're right. Not only did your two young stars for Boston, I'm very skeptical about superstar attached to Jason Tatum's name because you've already all been attached. He's got a seat at the table.
He does.
What table? The children's table?
No.
No, seriously.
No, skip.
Seriously, I want to know the children's table.
He got a chair with his name on it.
Maybe there's a children's superstar. He gets a little hat to wear. I don't know.
He can't be at the grown folk table yet?
Not yet, because I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. But both of them flashed star power in the first quarter because it is kaboom, kaboom. At Golden State, where they're up 1-0, they throw 13 and 13 at the Warriors in the first quarter. They led, would you believe this, by 9 with 4:27 left. Jaylen Brown makes another 3. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, here it goes south for the Warriors. The Warriors are going to have to go all the way across country to Boston, trailing 0-2. And I wouldn't have written them off at that point because they're highly capable of winning 2 games at Boston because Boston's highly capable of losing 2 games at Boston.
Absolutely.
Okay? So it's looking like it's all Boston, except Boston starts to turn the ball over, starting with your soon-to-be superstar Jason Tatum, who winds up in the first half with 4 turnovers.
In the first quarter.
In the first quarter. But by halftime, we're looking at he and Marcus Smart both have 4 turnovers by halftime, which kept them from not blowing the game open themselves because the second quarter was just all-time weird because nobody seemed to want it. It's like, here, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. And we go all the way through the second quarter. And I look up at halftime, and I'm thinking, wait a second, Golden State is leading at halftime? I have no idea how they were leading at halftime because they did not deserve to be leading because it felt like they got dominated in the first half, and they led at halftime, almost inexplicably.
It was the flip of game 1. You look up and you look at Boston.
I kept saying, how is Boston hanging in? How did they withstand 6 threes from Steph in the first quarter? Well, the truth was that the 2 young stars, not superstars, but the 2 young Boston stars threw a combined Steph haymaker at Steph's team.
Yes.
And Steph's team didn't fold, right? And it was partly Steph, as you say, in the first quarter, but it was a little bit of everybody. Right. I can't even make heads or tails of this because Steph only made 1 3 in the first quarter.
Right.
And yet, at the end of the day, at the end of the first quarter, wait, Golden State's ahead by 1 and they've each scored 13 and 13? That's impossible. Okay, now we go to the fateful third quarter. Well, as Derek White said after the game, it's been, I'm paraphrasing, but he said it's just been drilled into our brain. They're third quarter. They own the third quarter. They have the whole year. They are a third quarter team. The scouting reports scream third quarter team. And yet Boston ended up getting blown off the floor in the third quarter by a team that they knew that's who they were, right?
That's who they are.
Okay, so to your point, the game starts going nip, tuck, back, forth, up, down, right, left, north, south, all through the first part of the third quarter. It was still way up for grabs. And then a weird thing happened, and I'm going to beat this drum, because as bad as Klay Thompson was, and I don't know if he's ever been much worse than, what was he, 4 of 19. 4 of 19 and 1 of 8 from 3. Despite all that, who turned the game around for the Golden State Warriors? I suggest it was Klay Thompson.
That 3?
Yep. If we could see these 2 shots, he makes 2 in a row. Actually, there was a Steph shot in between. But remember, Steph had done nothing. Steph had missed his first 2 threes of the third quarter. So it's a nip-tuck game. It's a back-forward teeter-totter game. And here we go. And Klay finally runs full circle, comes off a pick, and he nails it, and he looks up to the crowd like, finally! I made one. And then he comes down and puts a move on Jaylen Brown, who was playing him for the 3, and he goes up and under and shoots a right-handed layup from the left side. And all of a sudden, I'm looking up and I'm saying, wait a second. Those are the 2 biggest shots of the game because the first one broke it open a little bit because it put them up 7. And then the up and under layup actually put them up 10. Who loves to front run in that building? Steph Curry is the all-time greatest front runner. And I'm not saying that completely negatively because it can be a huge positive for the home team. But the breakout shot was his running mate finally made a 3.
Right.
And then you could just see Steph's body language like, uh-oh, we got this now. Here we go. So he comes right off Klay's first 3 and his only 3, and he makes a 3. And then could we see what happened? Because here comes front run. Because once Klay broke the ice,
it was the dancing one.
Then here we go. Look out, Al Horford. You're on skates, and he ripped that about as clean as you can rip it, and then he gets 3 straight free throws because Ime got a tech that sent him right back to the line immediately after this. So he gets to go by himself, and boom. And then here he goes. Now for the onslaught. Now you are in trouble because he is front running at home.
Look at Tice. Tice, what are you doing?
Unbeatable. Well, that was a bomb, man. That was from the sideline.
You got to guard him with this.
All right. So right there we go. Here are the shots by Steph. It goes the first 3 right after Clay's, put them up 8. Then the 3 free throws put them up 12. Then the next 3 put them up 14. And the next 3 put them up 17. And just for a little icing on the cake, and it was some sweet icing, could we see the 2 Jordan Poole shots? Because these are completely unconscious.
The chlorine was right in the pool last night. It was a pool party.
It was a pool party. It was a cannonball right in the middle of the pool by Jordan Poole. That's 29 feet, and this one's 39 feet. This is just inside half court, and he just slings it as hard as he can sling it. He's out of his mind.
Yeah.
But he can get out of his mind.
Absolutely.
And he's feeding off Steph, who I believe fed just a little bit off Clay. And all of a sudden, the roof fell in on the Boston Celtics. And you are wiped out over the last half, really, of the third quarter.
Even in that third quarter, remember, Golden State's doing what they doing. The Celtics cut it to 6. And then what happened? 2 quick turnovers, and the next thing you know, a 6-point lead is all of a sudden back to 12, and they never look back. And that was the difference in the ball. Skip, look, I know Al Horford's not going to give me 26 on the night, but I don't need that. But you can't give me 2. And look, I know Marcus Smart. It came off the bench in the fourth quarter. He was started, but he came in late in the fourth quarter and nailed 2 big threes. Skip, he can't give me 2. I can't have my 2 starters play 53 minutes and give me 4 points. I can't have that. I mean, what would they combine? 1 of 4, and so they're 2 of 10 or 3 from the 3-point line. Skip, I can't have that. Jaylen Brown started. He was 4 of 6 in the first quarter. Went 1 for 11 the rest of the ball game.
Can't do it.
And that's, I don't care what anybody says. They need a point guard. It's too much ISO. If you watch them, Skip, is Jaylen Brown going one-on-one, drive kick, or Jason Tatum going one-on-one, drive kick? There are no easy buckets because these guys are not true facilitators. So it's hard for them. Yeah, Jason Tatum had 13, and he can give you that once every blue. No, he had 13 assists the other night.
13 assists.
He can give you that once in a blue moon, Skip. But if you look at them, they get no easy buckets. Everything is Jaylen Brown is one of the most difficult shot takers and makers, and he can make it. But when he's cold, Skip, it just look clank, clank, clank. They've got to get easier buckets. And they got to stop turning the ball over, Skip. I don't know how many times. And I know Udoka said, those are fixable problems. Those are fixable problems. But, Skip, they've lost 4 games that we can think 18 turn. And, again, 15 steals. They just gave up 19 steals in Game 6. How the heck, Skip? Steph Curry out there stealing the ball like he Gary Payton. When did he turn into Gary Payton? Because the Celtics are careless with the basketball.
And who is your primary perpetrator of carelessness?
JT.
Thank you.
JT.
The man whose jersey you bring out here when they win.
I'm going to bring it out again on Thursday.
Number 0 for 0 rings. Jason Tatum. Would you believe this? When I looked this up this morning, I was dumbfounded by it. Are you ready for this? For turnovers throughout the playoffs so
he's
far.
leading. It's not even close.
It's like not even close.
It's not even close.
Jason Tatum now has 83 total turnovers. Obviously, they have played the most games, along with, I don't even know how it goes between them and Golden State, but yeah, they've played the most games.
Because they have 2 game sevens.
Okay. 83 total turnovers, but we can keep it in perspective because second on the list is his teammate, Jaylen Brown. Guess how many fewer Jaylen Brown has? 23 fewer. Jaylen Brown has 60 turnovers for the whole playoff run. Jason Tatum leads the NBA playoffs by far with 83 turnovers, and he's soon to be superstar. I think not. You got to clean that up. That is cleanable. That is fixable, but you got to fix it fast or you're going to get run off your home court if you keep turning the ball over like this.
That's why they played, that's why they played 2 game sevens. They had a 15-point lead on Milwaukee and started turning the ball over. Milwaukee chased them down.
Especially against Miami.
Yes.
It was all about Jason Tatum's turnovers because it went 7, 6, and 7 in those early bad games.
Yes.
You can't do it because I promise you, if you turn it over 7 times, the odds go so far up for the other team to win the game. It's 7 empty trips where you just gave it to them. And this league, the way it plays basketball, once you turn it, it usually is what Phil Jackson called a compound F up, right?
Yes.
Because it gets compounded because they're also athletic and quick. They just bolt to the other end, and they're going to get an easy shot.
Easy shot, and the Warriors are looking to get an easy three. They're trying
Yep.
to get an easy three in transition. And that's what happened last night. It blew the game wide open because Boston was so careless with the basketball. Marcus Smart led them, and he played the fewest minutes of the, second fewest minutes of the starters behind Robert Williams. He played 25 minutes and had 5 turnovers. That's not 5 turnovers with 2 points? What the hell is that?
Yeah, what is that? All right, here are your 5 highest scores on the team in the second half. What happened in the second half to these 5 scores? Well, Jason Tatum in the second half of this game went 1 of 3, 1 of 2 from 3. But 1 of 3? Are you kidding me?
Only 3 shots, Skip?
Yeah, come on, that's just wrong.
And he played the entire third quarter.
Al Horford went 1 of 4. Obviously, he was a godsend in game one. But then he had 2 points last night, which is not shocking to me because it is Al Horford, and they did make a key defensive switch. They switched and put Clay on Horford. Well, Clay will just go guard him. You're not going to stand out here and shoot these shot threes on me.
Skip, Al Horford is used to playing with his back to the basket.
I got it.
I saw him last night. He got the ball up under the rim with Steph and Clay on him, and he tries to hand the ball off, and he gets it taken away.
But he's not athletic. He's not explosive. He's not elite.
Skip, he is 6'10", though.
I got it. Well, one time he had it on Clay, and he tried to back him and back him and back him.
And he ended up losing the ball.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Shot it off nowhere, right?
Okay.
Then we're going to the next one here. Next down the list is Jaylen Brown. Second half was 1 of 5. Marcus Smart, second half was 0 of 2. And my man, Derek White, who's been a Ginobili coming off the bench, is an expert for Ime Udoka, and he went 1 of 4 in the second half.
He missed a couple of easy ones, Skip. He missed a couple of layups.
I just total up. That's 4 of 18 for your top 5 scores on the team through the last few games of the playoffs. Well, that's just wrong, which brings me to your quote-unquote point guard. I got to tell you, the more I watch Marcus Smart on offense, he is a liability on offense. He is the defensive player of the year. So that obviously slightly outweighs offensive liability. It's like production tolerance.
Yes.
But his production on defense is invaluable.
Skip, if he's the defensive player of the year, how in the hell Steph Curry averaging 31 and a half?
Yep.
I need somebody to explain that to me, because what you need to do as the defensive player of the year is keep the guy up under his scoring average. Hell, Steph Curry's averaging probably 8, 9 more points in the postseason against him than he was.
I thought he made Steph work in the first quarter, but after a while, Steph just figures him out, and after a while, they get switches because Draymond's so good with his dribble handoff. And it's just all of a sudden, if he gets switched off Marcus Smart, he's going to have a field day on somebody else. If he's hot, if he's psychologically right, if he's front running, you will get shot out of the gym, home or away.
Right.
But the point is, are you sure about Marcus Smart as your point guard?
No, I'm not sure. I've been saying that.
Yeah, because down the stretch against Miami in Game 7, he
almost shot you out the game.
He almost shot you right out of the playoffs.
Yes.
He almost shot you out of the finals. He took the last 5 shots.
Yes.
I give him credit. He made the 2 free throws that started that run, and then he made the 2 that iced the game.
Hell, he should have made them. He put us in the situation. He put him in that situation.
I agree. But he took 5 shots. And wait a second. Jason Tatum, soon to be superstar? Maybe it's superstar. Maybe that's what it is. He took no shots down the stretch. That's just wrong.
No, it is absolutely.
And something is wrong with the chemistry with Marcus Smart as the point guard, which is why Ime, down the stretch of Game 1, remember, he sat Marcus Smart the whole way home to the 2:59 mark, right?
Yes.
So for the first 9 minutes and 1 second of the fourth quarter of Game 1 of this series, your starting point guard wasn't on the floor.
Right.
He was on the bench sitting next to the coach.
Right.
And guess who? Little Peyton Pritchard was on the floor.
Yes.
And he didn't give you much last night either, but he didn't really get a shot.
Well, ain't nobody gave us much.
No.
So I can't even blame Peyton Pritchard for not giving us much. But, Skip, and I've said this, I believe that's the part of the problem, is because they don't have a true facilitator of the... Skip, I'm not saying they need Chris Paul, but you need somebody that they can understand that, you know what, let me get this guy an easy shot. Marcus Smart gets nobody easy shots. The thing is, Skip, is everything. If you look at them, is ISO, JT, dribble penetration. I got it. I'm going to pull up. JB is taking very difficult threes, and he was off last night. This is when Marcus Smart should say, hey, guys, enough. Nothing comes out of action. Nothing comes out of a set. No. Skip, going one-on-one, that's not a set. Well, maybe that's their set. Yeah. But that's the problem. You're not going to beat Golden State going one-on-one. Skip, they're too good defensively as a team. They don't have any guys with the exception of Draymond and maybe the mitten, Gary Payton II. But other than that, Steph, Clay is a shell of himself. I love Clay. It's been amazing what he's been able to come in 2 years.
We're going to talk about this in a few minutes. But I'm telling you, he's going to get you before this is over.
We know that, Skip. We know he's due for a game. We know he's due for a game.
Yeah, and the deeper you get in the series, the more he will be due for
you just hope that game is right.
7.
I hope it's not a close that game.
All I know, bottom line is wildly inconsistent. Jason Tatum, wildly inconsistent, maybe even more so Jaylen Brown. Totally wildly inconsistent. I'm not sure there's any consistency in there. Is your starting point guard, Marcus Smart. Way to go.
That's all right.
I don't trust you.
We still going to win game 3. Okay. With all that you said, I bet you won't bet nothing. Bet 3 cases right now. Have the courage of your conviction.
We're going to talk about that in just a minute. So I will save my thoughts for that. And for you, I'll save you from your
No, I don't want no help. I don't want any help. As a matter of fact, if I'm in the ocean, I need you to pump more water in the ocean. I want it up over my head.
Really?
Yes, that's what I want. Oh. Don't help me.
So you're an expert swimmer.
I might not be.
I just don't want
you to say it. I'm going to get him, Gene. I'm going to get him.
Good morning, guys. So much to unpack with this final series. I'm curious to see how Boston responds at home, where they really haven't been all that great this season. All right.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.